Yo, what is up everybody, it's the Great here and welcome back to another reaction video here today. And today we got a pretty intriguing video by Carthu'S Dojo. As you can tell by the title, this is What If Vegito Never Unfused Dragon Ball Z? So folks, every time we have observed Vegito in battle, we have seen him dominating the competition essentially, right? Against Majin Buu, he beat him down. And then in Dragon Ball Super against a fused Zamasu, he beat him down as well. So it is clear that Vegito is a extraordinarily powerful individual, and the possibilities are endless. And if the case were Vegito never unfused, I'm sure he would keep training, and I'm sure his ceiling would rise, and his potential would be boundless, to be quite honest. I mean, Vegito is literally the combination and then some of Goku and Vegeta, two of the most heralded Saiyans of all time. So it's just an amazing thing to think about, and the possibilities are quite endless. But I'm very intrigued to see what Carthu'S has to say about this. So before we begin, and it was really appreciate that like button, turn on bell notifications, stay there with yours truly. And if you're new and you enjoy, man, and you mess with the kid, make sure to hit that sub button, because once you become part of the family forever. But not wasting more time, screen. See what Carthu'S says today.
In the Buu saga of Dragon Ball Z, we were told that Potara fusion is permanent, but that was quickly changed after Vegito is absorbed by Buu and the supposedly permanent merge is split up.
Right.
This is later explained in Super to be due to a time limit for mortals who use the Potara. But that leaves a very interesting question on the table. What if Potara fusion was truly permanent? What if Vegito never unfused?
Never.
So our story starts inside of Majin Buu, where Vegito has been absorbed according to plan.
Right.
Now that he's inside the pink monster, he can lower his barrier and find the others who were absorbed by Buu. When Vegito lowers his barrier, nothing happens. The merge is truly permanent, so of course, there are no issues here. Easily after entering Buu, Vegito is able to locate and rescue Gohan, Goten, Trunks, and Piccolo. The interesting part here is Fat Buu, who's inside Super Buu, and whether or not Vegito would remove Fat Buu or not.
Good question. Yeah.
Considering that the Vegeta side of Vegito saw Fat Buu fight Skinny Buu, and the Goku saw some good within Fat Buu as well, I think it's likely that they would. Of course, this begins to revert Super Buu to Kid Buu. But even so, Vegito is easily able to defeat Buu before he can even fully transform. Now, Buu was never the interesting part about this what if,
right,
so there's no need to linger on it. Buu is defeated. Just know this means Earth isn't destroyed, though everyone on the planet besides the handful from our cast of characters are dead. Between Earth's Dragon Balls, which will be ready in a few months, and the Namekian Dragon Balls that Dende suggests using, everything is reverted to normal, and the general population of Earth is made to forget that Buu ever existed in the first place, as originally happened. Now that everything is returned to normal for the most part, there are some questions that need to be answered, especially from the two wives of Vegito. Which wife will the fusion choose? Which wife will be left alone for the rest of their days?
Wow,
Well,
I didn't think of that.
This may seem boring, but I don't think of Dragon Ball as a series with this type of drama. So for me, the answer is very simple. Vegito wouldn't go back to either. This is the most reasonable answer in my view, and avoids the weird picking of a family, which just seems wrong to me.
Yeah, it does.
Notably, Vegito really isn't like Goku or Vegeta very much in my view. He's mixed enough to be his own person, and thus isn't really appealing to Bulma or Chi-Chi either. Side note, I know a lot of people think he's more Vegeta-like due to his use of Kakarot in his fused name, but Vegito was actually originally supposed to be named Gogeta. As far as I'm aware, this was changed to avoid confusion with the Fusion Reborn movie, so there you go. The more you know.
Wow.
So with Vegito isolated, he can focus on his training. Bulma takes care of Chi-Chi financially, so Vegito can spend his time the way he wants, especially after being given the money from Mr. Satan. While he's still a father to all 3 of his children, Vegito has become a figure that's more like a master of martial arts than anything else, seeming hermit-like, just as Grandpa Gohan and Master Roshi were,
Agreed.
even adapting to some of their father-like qualities when raising his own children. Notably, with Goku and Vegeta not coming to the conclusion of the Spirit Bomb at the end of the Buu saga, this means his Goku qualities still have him thinking that the next generation needs to be prepared to take over for him once he's gone. A single protector of Earth must be found. Goten and Trunks are easy to convince to keep training, but Gohan feels like he's not needed. He wants to focus on his scholarly pursuits and Videl, but Vegito is part Vegeta,
What a simp. What a simp.
doesn't let him. He presents Gohan a possibility, a time where Vegito isn't around, or isn't enough. A time where Gohan's family is in danger, but due to him getting soft, he can't protect them. Arrogance and complacency are Gohan's biggest weaknesses.
Agreed.
If he wants a life as a scholar and eventually a father, he'd have to stay strong enough to protect those goals. The message gets through to Gohan, and he agrees to keep up on his training in his off time, allowing him to grow to new heights, though the gap between him and Vegito was never truly closed. Since of course Vegito's base form is arguably stronger than Ultimate Gohan in the manga, and definitely stronger than Ultimate Gohan in the anime, I think it's clear that base to base, Vegito is far stronger than Gohan.
Absolutely.
Vegito may also be Goku and Vegeta's potentials multiplied together as well, since it's just multiplying the 2 in their entirety together.
I agree.
Regardless, know that for the time being, Vegito is beyond Gohan and will remain the strongest character in the series for now. So with Buu dealt with and Vegito's future sorted for now, 4 years pass until the God of Destruction awakens, coming to Earth in search of the Super Saiyan God, the first rival to truly challenge the God. Since the Saiyans have been training for the past 4 years, they are more than prepared for the arrival of the God of Destruction, though their battles with Beerus are purely for entertainment, as the God of Destruction hasn't had the displeasure of meeting Majin Buu yet. Despite their training and each of the Saiyans being one of the greatest fights Beerus has ever had, none are enough to satisfy him, not even Vegito. The fights do make the proposition of meeting a Super Saiyan God all the more enticing for Beerus though, and with Vegito being partially made up of Goku, he obviously thinks of using the Dragon Balls to find the Super Saiyan God, just as Goku did originally. But they're instead given the ritual, as also happened originally. This of course leads to the ritual being performed and failing since they are 2 Saiyans short. Videl steps forward and announces she's pregnant, but Whis points out they'd still be a Saiyan short. Now, we could go one of 2 ways here. 1, the ritual doesn't work, or 2, the combination of Vegeta and Goku's ki will work for the sake of the ritual. Let's go with the latter just to be a bit simpler with things. So Vegito explains to Whis that he is the merging of 2 Saiyans, and that might suffice for the requirements of the ritual. To everyone's astonishment, it does work, and the Super Saiyan God, Vegito, is born. Beerus smiles. He can feel the God Ki radiating off of Vegito and can tell that this will be different. Better than anything that has come before it. In terms of raw power, Vegito here should be pretty insane. After a year of training with Piccolo and on his own for a bit, Gohan goes from barely being able to turn Super Saiyan to rivaling Super Saiyan Blue Goku right before the Tournament of Power. Just to be clear here, this is directly stated by the narrator and then later shown to be true again when Gohan fights a powered-up Dispo while keeping up with Golden Frieza. The same Golden Frieza who was relative to Super Saiyan Blue Goku before the Tournament of Power. Like it or not, that's how strong Gohan got in just 1 year of training. The point of showing all this is to make us realize how ridiculous a Gohan after 4 years of training with Vegito and Vegito himself.
Alright, I like to point this out. How tough of a fight would Super Saiyan God Vegito be to Beerus, right? Think about it like this. Goku in the original timeline, right, in the Battle of Gods movie, made Beerus try and go to 70% of his capability to fight Super Saiyan God Goku. Now, how much would Super Saiyan God Vegito push Beerus? Right? That's a very good question. Right? Because Vegito, again, is Goku and Vegeta and then some multiplied. Right? So this Super Saiyan God, it can safely be said, is much more powerful than, say, Super Saiyan God Goku, right? It has to be. I mean, the potential, the ceiling, the ability, etc., is also vastly superior to just Goku on his own. So the question is, how hard would he push Beerus? Would he push Beerus to his limits? As far as that is concerned, I don't think so. I think his limits are still somewhat unexplained, at least to my knowledge, at least in the anime. So that's a good question, but I think it'd obviously be more than 70%. And Carthu implies this with the things that he said. He said that even without, and he's talking about without God Ki, Vegito wouldn't be much of a threat to Beerus. And I tend to agree, and here's why. Because the perception that I get is that God Ki makes you part of a league that is entirely different than any leagues below it, right? Like Super Saiyan 3 Goku was complete fodder to Beerus. Complete fodder, right? And as soon as he got God Ki, he was able to compete. So God Ki, I believe, is like more enriched, vastly superior, and higher potential type Ki than any other Ki out there. Hence the name God Ki. So I think, now this is his headcanon, but the multipliers, the power levels, etc. are all vastly, unquantifiably higher compared to all the other versions of Ki. God Ki is God energy, essentially. So it makes sense why there is this perception that once you get God Ki, you're in a whole different tier entirely, right? And you have to be essentially godlike to even face someone with God Ki. You have to be godlike. Hence, people like Jiren, people like Hit when he faced Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. Right? You have to be in a whole different tier. And I guess Gohan happens to be one of those. Carthu explained and proved why Ultimate Gohan happens to be one of those individuals, with it being clearly stated that he was relative to Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Alright, so there's individuals that are godlike. You have to have the potential for that to be the case. But the point is, God Ki puts you in a whole different tier, right? The only debatable thing is, would Vegito not be godlike even without God Ki, like Ultimate Gohan, like Hit, like Jiren? I'm not saying that he's as powerful as Jiren or anything like that, but does he not have that kind of potential? Considering the fact that Vegito's potential is literally Goku's times Vegeta's potential times a certain multiplier that makes it even larger than those two's potential combined. Would that not make him godlike? I just would think twice before saying full-powered Vegito without God Ki would be complete fodder to Beerus, when Carthu said that Super Saiyan Blue Goku was relative to Ultimate Gohan. Right? I think there's a little bit of a inconsistency there when thinking about it logically, but still, all he said I basically agree with, besides those little key nitpicks that I decided to point out. But overall, great video so far. Let's continue.
Would be, as we've already covered that he probably has potential on par or relative to Gohan's, so this would mean something pretty crazy for Vegito as well. In 4 years of training, it should be fair to say that Ultimate Gohan and Vegito have gotten at least that strong. Remember, Whis himself says that Saiyans fighting each other is relative, if not better, than his own training, so that supports this even further. Let's downplay even further and say that Vegito needs to turn Super Saiyan to reach that level, not just base form. With even all of that, Super Saiyan God is a ridiculous multiplier. If you thought Kaioken times 20 Super Saiyan Blue Goku in the beginning of the Tournament of Power was impressive, this blows that away, and we're only at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super. Needless to say any further, Super Saiyan God Vegito is a beast and satisfies Beerus, eventually leading to him training with Whis, eventually mastering his God Ki and unlocking Super Saiyan Blue. From here, things are just easy, to be completely honest. Well, at least for a little while. Even if Vegito is off-world when Frieza is revived, what will a revived Frieza do when a Gohan who hasn't stopped training comes to face him? A
Good
Gohan
question.
whose ultimate form can close the God Gap after just a year of training.
Right.
A Gohan who has 5 more years of training since the Buu Saga and has surpassed early Tournament of Power Super Saiyan Blue Goku.
Wow.
Obviously, this is just an easy win for Gohan.
Absolutely.
And Frieza doesn't get the chance to destroy the planet, as Gohan's arrogance has already been addressed by Vegito. That moves us to the Universe 6 tournament, of course. What will the Universe 6 tournament have to offer when Vegito easily beats Hit?
Correct.
Probably without even resorting to Super Saiyan Blue, and definitely not needing Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken,
Absolutely.
which he should be able to do.
Yep.
So Vegito just solos the tournament with no difficulty.
It'd be
Then
easy.
of course Zeno would make his appearance, and while less goofy than Goku, Vegito is still a bit naive and makes Zeno's acquaintance, even getting another tournament promised as happened originally. With the tournament won by Vegito single-handedly and the Super
Yeah, it'd be
Dragon
easy.
Balls free for Beerus to use, Vegito asks if he could have the wish. Beerus considers it and says why not. Vegito was the one to win them after all. Vegito asks to be split up once again. He would like to return
Interesting.
to being Goku
Wish
and
choice.
Vegeta. If these Super Dragon Balls could truly grant any wish, then maybe, just maybe, their merger could end here. Beerus looks a little saddened by their wish request, but shrugs and agrees. Vegito assumes he's sad to be losing his rival, but that wasn't it. Whis gives Beerus a look, but Beerus tells Whis to try it already. No harm in giving it a shot. So Whis recites the wish to the Super Dragon Balls, and Super Shenron responds that Potara merger is truly permanent.
Oof.
There is no undoing it.
Wow.
Goku and Vegeta were in essence
Are
destroyed
forever fused.
when Vegito was created. There's no Goku and Vegeta to return to, even if the permanence of this merger wasn't a universal law.
Wow.
Beerus had expected this to be the outcome, but decided to give it a shot anyway. He apologizes to the merged Saiyan, seeming sincere for the first time ever. Vegito tells him not to worry about it. This was his last chance to split up again, so he's already resigned to the idea that he will forever be Vegito. Beerus then wishes for Universe 6's Earth to be restored as he did originally, and they return to Beerus's planet. However, all is not right in the universe. Actually, it's not right in the timelines of this universe. Soon, a rogue god will seek to steal the body of Vegito in retaliation for his transgressions against the gods, which is, it's basically just him existing. That's all he did. Now,
Exactly.
I'd love to give a winding tale about the struggle to beat a Vegito Black, but this is how I really see events playing out. Trunks arrives in the past and sees Vegito. He tries to strike out at him, fearing him to be the evil Saiyan found in his timeline,
Right.
but that fear is quickly put to rest. Vegito explains who he is, and Trunks is now even more confused by the future version of the merged Saiyan. How could a Vegito and Goku fusion be in the future where they died decades ago? Even if it were them, why would they be evil? Vegito tells him not to worry about it. Whoever Vegito Black is, he shouldn't be too hard to beat. A bit of
Right.
time passes after this conversation, and a rift opens in the sky, a portal to the future timeline, and from it comes Vegito Black. Vegito doesn't hesitate and confronts the false version of himself. He asks who he is, but Vegito Black says that's a question that doesn't need to be answered. Vegito tells him that's a shame, since they won't get a second chance. Notably, Vegito is pretty decisive in his battles. He enters with a goal in
Agreed.
mind and does whatever he can to achieve that goal. Whether it be to be absorbed by Buu or to destroy Merge Zamasu, though he was prevented from doing the second one due to the time limit shortening outside of his control, he is far more decisive than Goku and Vegeta when it comes to his fights. Because of this tendency to try and achieve his goals immediately without trying to have fun with the fight, Vegito Black, who still can't even use Super Saiyan Rose, is a nothing fight for Vegito and Super Saiyan Blue, who quickly manhandles and kills Vegito Black. Only a moment later,
all she
Vegito
wrote.
Black's corpse is returned to the future timeline. This doesn't fix everything though, so Vegito asks Trunks if they can go to the future timeline together. There might be a way for them to fix this mess if they go. So Trunks agrees and the two travel to the future. Once there, Vegito teleports Trunks to New Namek. Since it's in the same general location as the present timeline, he's able to find it no problem.
Right.
Once there, they are able to collect the upgraded Namekian Dragon Balls and use them to return Earth to the way it was before Vegito Black showed up. Vegito thanks the Namekians and takes Trunks back to Earth, where he is reunited with his mother and Mai. Trunks thanks Vegito for everything, but before peace can truly return, a notable key is present on Earth. Zamasu, immortal and alone, is furious to see his work undone. Vegito quickly teleports to him and stops the rogue god before he can cause any destruction to the newly restored planet. It doesn't take long for Vegito to realize Zamasu is immortal, but he can still be knocked out, which is exactly what Vegito does. Once Zamasu is unconscious, Trunks takes Vegito to the past once again, and Vegito hands Zamasu over to Beerus. He tells Beerus that this is the person responsible and that he's immortal. Beerus recognizes Zamasu and says Vegito Black had the same key, so that makes sense. Whis gives Beerus a version of the Z-Sword, and using the blade, he seals the immortal god forever. Since, as Beerus says in the manga, and Whis implies in the anime, Beerus can't kill immortals. I don't know why people think this. He literally says he can't in the manga, and the anime is really clear about him not being able to as well.
Yeah, so because they're truly immortal, right? Yeah.
To his timeline, but only after spending a day in the present waiting for the time machine to be refueled. Using this time, Vegito takes Trunks to Elder Kai and has his potential unlocked. This should help keep him strong enough for any future threats, so long as he continues to train, of course. So Trunks leaves the present for good this time, stronger and more prepared than ever before. From here, the Tournament of Power happens a year later. Now, I haven't spoken about Whis' training for Ultra Instinct yet, and that's because it would make Vegito even more OP than he's already been.
Yeah, pretty much.
What I mean by that is Vegito is the combination of Vegeta and Goku, of course, and because of that, their opposite traits that stop them from achieving Ultra Instinct immediately are compensated for by the other person. This makes Vegito the perfect fighter by Whis' standards, and for me, this would be enough to allow him to achieve at least Ultra Instinct Omen at will from Whis' training alone.
Very fair.
Now,
I agree.
imagine a Vegito who's far stronger than either Goku or Vegeta at the beginning of the tournament, and has access to at least Ultra Instinct Omen. And that's being generous. I think he probably could have mastered it because of his lack of family time required. I think there's clearly a running theme here, and it's very simply that Vegito just sort of solos due to his high potential and his high power difference at the very beginning of the series. As for the Broly movie, I actually don't think it'll happen at all. Frieza, if revived, won't be a big factor in winning the tournament, and if Beerus doesn't revive Frieza, the Earth Dragon Balls literally can't because he was already revived once.
Right.
In the anime, this is framed as a knowing lie by Goku, while the manga makes it Goku just forgot what the wish limits were. Regardless, if the Broly movie did happen, then I think it's still clear that Vegito solos pretty easily. It's genuinely a non-contest, and he may not even let it get as far as it did originally.
Might end it quickly.
Seeing the good in Broly and how misguided Paragus is wouldn't lead to him killing either of them. With that, I think this is where the story should end.
Wow, this is a great video. Great video by Carthu.
Makes for a fairly boring narrative, all things considered. I hope you enjoyed the story regardless. Make sure you like and
very
subscribe
well done.
if you did, and thank you so
Peace out,
very
man.
much for watching.
Great video. There you guys have it, and that was the video. It was actually very well done, very entertaining, and I agree with just about everything. There's obviously always going to be some contentious statements made in these kind of videos, but I agree with basically everything besides what I pointed out earlier. So basically, if Vegito never infused, Dragon Ball would be boring as shit. He would just solo every major villain throughout his way. Fucking Hit would be fodder, Zamasu, Black Vegito from the alternate timeline, or the future timeline, whatever it is. And then in Tournament of Power, he would fodderize everybody. He would probably have access to full-powered Mastered Ultra Instinct. He'd be a fucking animal. And then Gohan, transitively, would never stop training and become a monster himself. Probably the second strongest on Earth, besides Vegito. And that non-human things are non-Saiyans. Obviously, Whis and Beerus are probably stronger still, but point is, the storyline would be boring, you know? He'd be too powerful. So maybe that illuminates to us the fact why the writers unfused them. Maybe they were looking at it, they're like, all right, we said it's permanent, but shit, if we leave it permanent, who the fuck will he fight? We're gonna have to make the villains much stronger, or this is gonna be a boring story. Let's just avoid that complication by them separating when Boo eats them up. Basically, that's probably what their thought process was, and this illuminates that, because it'd be a complication if they stayed fused and they continued, or he, Vegito specifically, continued to evolve and train and achieve mastery of his abilities. His potential is probably near boundless, right? When you multiply Goku and Vegeta's potential and then multiply on top of that, that's a pretty large number, I'd say so myself. So yeah, he basically fodderized everybody. I'm sure eventually he'd be competing against Beerus himself, you know, and it would basically be a formula for a very boring storyline, very bland storyline where the hero comes out on top every time, right? If we keep the villains as strong as they were in the original timeline, right? So, yeah, guys, this is basically very realistic to what would happen if they were fused, if forever, right? If they were fused forever. And it's kind of sad to think about it. If they were fused forever, we'd never see Goku and Vegeta again. They would never have their individual experiences anymore. They'd be one forever, and the essence of two characters that we have come to know and love would die out with the never-ending fusion of the two. So maybe that's another thing the writers thought about. Like, all right, we can't let these characters just die out. You know, we've had years of investment, of character development, of intricate storytelling to build these characters up and have them admired by millions of anime fans around the world. So if we were to keep them fused forever, that would all be destroyed fundamentally. So maybe it's good that they're not fused forever. You know, this is somewhat of a fan fantasy. Like, what if they were fused? They'd be unstoppable, right? Of course they would be. But then again, we'd never get to see the characters we know and love. We'd never see them struggle. There would be no challenge. There would be no threat. So think about it like that, and maybe, you know, these fan fantasies of ours, me included, would not be so much of a fantasy anymore. At least a good one. So yeah, guys, this was a very good video. It's a very good video, and I think Carthu opened my eyes, and I'm sure many of your eyes, to what it really would be like if Vegito never unfused. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. This was actually a very good video, and I'll definitely check out more if you guys would like it. Please let me know of any other recommendations you might have, and I'll catch you in the next video. This is Jedi signing out. Peace.